Today's guest is Melanie Marten, who founded and runs the public relations agency, The Coup, with offices in Berlin, Germany, in Athens, Greece, and since 2010 this is what she's been doing. She's also the founder of the PR intelligent platform PRonthego.com, which provides growth hacking for entrepreneurs in the creative industries. She's also an indie author and currently prepares for the premiere of the Athletic Coup, which is a film festival about amateur athletes in niche sports, which she directs. So, Melanie, thank you very much for being on. How are you doing today?
Hi, Drasko. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, so when you read it out loud, like my bio, I'm just keeping busy, I think.
I would say, yeah, given all of the things that you have done and are doing, yeah, being busy definitely qualifies with that. So I would agree with you for that. Yeah, and also I'd love to know, like, how did you get to doing everything that you're doing?
Yeah, so I was born and bred in Berlin, and when I was basically ready to go to start my professional career, the creative scene was thriving in Berlin. Like it was really amazing time in Berlin where there was a lot of freedom to start creative projects. So I went into the music space and the event space. I just got like full in. And basically I started from there. I did different things, like I had a pop-up shop for Berlin fashion design. I worked for a music production company. I was in a punk band myself. And I did a lot of artist promotions. And then someone said to me, what you're doing actually is PR, like what you're mostly focusing on. Like even in my own band, I was more focused on the PR side of things. And then I basically just, focused since then on PR in my career.
That's really cool. And I mean, like it's so seldom that you hear with like a band like that somebody actually wants to do the PR stuff. Like it's usually the opposite story you hear. It's like we didn't really want to do that part at all. So I think it's really cool that you actually found yourself in the work that you do through something that typically is like not associated with that. So I love that part of your story. So anything else you want to add or comment to that?
Yeah, so we got like for Germany, we got pretty fast, pretty famous in our niche, and we had so I got in contact with a lot of great people from the music industry side, and so I just got much more excited about the background work. So yeah, I actually left the band. The band still exists. I mean, like, must be like 18 years later.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. Everybody went in their own direction, but everybody's kind of happy. So that's it's a great thing. So yeah, I mean, I just want to make sure we can get to everything because I know we have a hard stop at the end of the hour, but yeah, I want to just dive right into it. Like what are the biggest stress challenges that you're experiencing right now, inside of your business or you as a leader inside of your business?
Yeah, so a lot of stress is obviously this year was a bit tougher for the economy with the cost of living crisis and investment stops in the startup scene. And they call it like the startup winter, and investment stops also in PR in the first quarters of the year. Because people did not trust public relations so much anymore. So because with ad spend, you have the figures, and apparently public relations consultants don't provide the figures to measure things. So the whole industry is working on solving this, because PR is actually like the most authentic and the most cost-efficient driver for growth, right? So you get like, you reach out to journalists, or you reach out for partnerships and collaborations to get third-party endorsement. And it's about like the most creative story or the best founder story. And it's not so much about how much ad spend you can pump out there. So I just like, sorry, I got lost there because I'm like actually so passionate about PR. And next to our PR agency work, I started building PR on the go. As you said, like it's a PR intelligence platform, and now which is for the creative industries, so entrepreneurs in the creative industries like fashion designers, musicians, artists, and also startups. And what we're currently building is a matchmaking, so that we have journalists on the platform that match with the creatives, and they don't expect like a corporate press release anymore. So we want to completely overhaul this thing. It's also got some fancy technology in there, but there's a lot of stressors with keeping a startup team together. So I really want to focus on this startup where we applied for incubators and investment. And I focus a lot more on this project this year. It was always just a side project, like my passionate project, trying to get some growth hacking out there for entrepreneurs who cannot afford PR agents because we're expensive, right? And there's a lot, and also like this trend started that startups actually in the tech industry, they start the outreach themselves. They already tried different things. They did some things, or they're doing a lot of mistakes in this. Like for example, just send a newsletter to journalists instead of preparing a proper press pitch. And these are things. Yeah. So this is basically where my whole passion is and focus. But to keep the team, to keep everything going, I code a lot of the things myself, but then, I have my limits. I love coding, but I have my limits there. It's not my full-time job, so that I got like, there are limits. Also, there's new technology with AI. It's new technology. I'm insisting on also using ethical technology in there, to find the right partners, to keep them on board, to get investors convinced. And I feel like it would be easier if I was a man, if I was, like maybe a US citizen, if I was, you see also like startups that get funded this year, where before they were investors. So, they're already in the network, and other investors want to have this network. So it stresses me a lot. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Well, I mean, just like you were doing a lot, like we said in the bio, like you're also doing a lot right now. So I can see there's a lot of balls in play with everything that you have going on right now. So what I think the first thing I just want to like highlight. So I was asking you essentially, okay, where are your stresses personally with like leading all of this, right? And where your brain went to is basically giving me all of the circumstantial data and context around what's going on, right? This is where the PR industry is. This is where like the side project is going. This is where it would be easier if I was a man, or if I was a US citizen, etc. Like, yes, all of those I know are true because they are your context and they obviously affect you, and kind of bypasses the real core of the question, which is, okay, well, what is your biggest challenge handling all of this and navigating all of this?
Yeah, it's finance and team. Yeah, team building and finance.
Okay. And which one, let's just say, at least for just the container today, like of this conversation, which one do you think is more relevant to dive into?
Of course, finance. Let's
Okay,
dive into this.
perfect. So tell me more about that. When you say finance, what does that mean for you?
Tell me where to get more money through personal development. So
uh,
basic.
yeah,
So
I wish I could just wave a magic wand and just do it, but then I'd probably just do it more for myself too, you know?
yeah, it's also not a final solution. So I love this whole process of getting there, the entrepreneurial journey, right? Like if it was just handed to me, I would be deeply upset and depressed. So this challenge is like really, really great. But it's also like a massive challenge at times. So in PR consultancy, it's great. I love PR consultancy, but there are a lot of frustrating times. So we have to work with corporates or well-financed startups. There are a lot of ego problems, and you constantly feed into other people's ideas and their business. They might not be grateful, or you will even find out that they're not even standing for good core values, while working with them. So it's really essential. It was really essential for my mental health even to focus on my own project. So aside from running the PR agency, which is PR on the Go as a startup, and also I believe in physical exercise for mental health. This is where the film festival comes from, which is about films of amateur athletes and niche sports. And yeah, so now this year I focus a lot more on the startup. And then at one point, when you don't focus on your money jobs and on the startup, you run out of the cash flow a little bit, you keep it out of sight. But I'm very passionate driven and intuitive driven, and also what's keeping me sane. So the focus was not on the regular money-making jobs where it's really comfortable in PR consultancy, but on the startup, and then it gets uncomfortable fast. And also, what I love is that it uses all my capacities, not just my PR knowledge, coding, video idea, but also there are limitations in the investor acquisition. I don't want to look into all these Excel sheets, all those numbers that potentially would be, the revenue. So I also experience personal limitations. Yeah, and then obviously money could solve the things, but there's also the thing finding good people. But I usually find good people, but then I'm under the stress of keeping them. This is again the financial side. Now we hear my dog in the background.
That's okay. I don't actually hear it. So if you didn't tell me, I wouldn't have actually known that. I know you have a puppy, so it's okay. So okay. What I'm hearing is okay. So there's this pressure of I wasn't, because I was focused on the other project. I couldn't really focus on the income producing activities that normally bring in the money, on the PR side. And then that obviously had ripple effects with regards to keeping talent and ensuring that those people actually stay. So that's accurate as far as a summary of what you just mentioned. Is that correct? Okay, yes. Perfect. So obviously there's going to be tactical solutions to all of that. And I mean, I have no idea about the PR business, so I wouldn't feel qualified to speak to any of that. What I did want to just bring into the space, and you can let me know, where this might apply or not, is I know both in our conversation prior to going live and some of the intake forms that you did have, you had mentioned perfectionism and avoidance, right? These are patterns that I noticed within myself in general. So tell me a little bit more about those, the perfectionism and the avoidance. How did they show up for you?
Yeah, so I truly believe in doing the hard things first, the more tougher things. Sorry, now the puppy is really loud, right? Is it okay?
I can't hear it at all.
Okay, perfect.
You're good. Yeah.
But still there are things that I keep avoiding, to work on things that hey, give me 1 second, sorry.
Yeah.
Hey.
Oh, there we go. This is the realities of the real podcast.
I'm sorry, she got really.
That's okay. Yeah,
she got really loud.
So basically, avoidance and perfectionism. How does that show up for you?
Yeah, it was really interesting to do your test to make me aware of that, because I claim to not be avoidant and to be fine with not being perfectionist, better get it done than perfect. But then there's actually a lot of times where I tend to tap into the perfectionism and avoidance. But also with the startup now, there are things, once I start them, they take a while. They take 1 or 2 weeks. Let's say a new development of a new feature on the platform. No one sees the work. No one pays for the work. You know, like it's 2 weeks that I have to decide, okay, I'm just working on this, but it's really hard to do because there's no reward directly, immediately, right? So I tend to step now into avoidance, although like this work should be done, and the perfectionism. Like the perfectionism is also like an avoidance tactic, right? Like just to like, oh, we can also just work on the design, make the design like 100 times nicer. You know, does it move the needle? No.
Okay. So, I mean, there's a lot of self-awareness there, right? So that's obviously a good thing because you're recognizing like, okay, sometimes I'll spend so much time on something that doesn't really matter as much, or it's already good enough that it takes away my time to do other things. So like I'm avoiding the thing that I should do because I'm trying to perfect something like the design, which was actually good enough to begin with. Like, is that accurate for you?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, perfect. So since they kind of go hand in hand with for you, like the perfectionism and the avoidance. So even if you look at, let's just say this conversation, right? So like I'm repeatedly telling you, like, I don't hear your puppy, like it's totally fine. It's not making noise. It doesn't affect the recording, right? But like your brain can't like relax because it's like, no, 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 but like everything's not perfect. Like it's not perfectly silent and like we have to go fix it. Right. So do you see how, like, even in this instance, you can make the observation that, like, okay, the perfectionism shows up even in times where, like, reality, in this instance, me telling you, like, no, it's actually totally fine. Like, there's nothing wrong here. Okay. Like, what lands for you from that observation?
Yeah, it's interesting because like I hear the puppy and I want to go after her. um, so in PR, we're telling everyone this year with AI coming out and just writing the perfect marketing, perfect in quotation marks, marketing copy and everything. We tell all the PR consultants in our network, we tell everyone to keep it authentic, genuine, even if there are mistakes or, you know, like anything that makes it authentic. But reality is we're facing a very perfect world out there. So everything's, you know, like everything's perfect. Perfect photos, perfect videos, perfect sound. Like, so you still, or I'm still under the pressure, and I believe other entrepreneurs are as well, right? I hope other entrepreneurs are as well. It's not just me.
110%. Yeah, this is a very, very common thing. So what I'm curious then is like how it affects you specifically, right? So if you had to look at, and let's just stick with the perfection because that seems to be one that comes up. So how do you think that actually affects you day to day inside of your business?
Mm, so the perfectionism or the avoidance?
Correct. The perfectionism.
So also like I have to make decisions, right? They affect other people, and so the decision making on what am I working on every day? Uh, yeah, I have the responsibility to decide for the right thing, and also when I show up, or what work is delivered, that it has to be my best work because of this responsibility to towards other people that I have, towards employees, and with the startup, new team members. So how is it affecting me from day-to-day life? So basically it affects my decision making. It's not free, and and there are some avoidance tactics to go on the more core work actually that would move the needle, I would say.
Got it. So what I'm hearing is like you're avoiding making certain decisions that would actually move the needle forward on, I'm assuming, revenue or like important things in the business. Like I'm avoiding it because it's not good enough, or I just don't want to make the decision. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's a tough topic because it also has different layers, right? Like when you set up different companies, like where do you set it up? What's the best like for everyone? Who's the best accountant to choose? Like what should I be working on today? Is the cash flow enough if I work on the core projects that, you know, then could generate potentially much more money? But yeah, this is basically where there are times of freezing and then just falling back into the regular work that is easy to do.
Yeah. So basically, when it comes to decision making, the perfectionism or the avoidance comes in as, okay, well, who should do what? So am I able to make the decision on who should do what? What should I work on today? Right. And sometimes I freeze and I just fall into doing kind of the comfort level work, the easy work that I already know how to do. And then also decisions about which project should I work on. Right. So like, is that accurate for you with regards to what comes up?
Yes, exactly. Sorry, now the puppy has the ball.
Yeah, that's okay.
I'm sorry. I'll
There we
show
go.
you.
Okay.
Yeah, troublemaker. I hoped she was going to sleep, but she's just
Well, she
taking the
probably heard you
loudest thing.
talking, so then it's a totally different thing, you know?
Ah, all right. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, tell me how to remove this blockage from the decision making.
Sure. So, okay. When so okay, out of these ones, okay, so who should do what? What should I work on today? Which project should we work on? Which one's the most pressing decision for you right now?
Um, so so there is a lot of waiting time, which yeah, obviously I don't like to use the word avoidance, but you know, like sitting it out till there's decisions made, like for different hirings, and yeah, the hirings, the moving forward, um, the focusing on the core product. Maybe this is the most pressing right now because I should be focusing on developing the core product, but the world tells you, oh, you need to perfectionize your investor pitch, you should be doing this and that. But I believe just working on the core product is what would drive it forward, right?
Okay. So it seems like there's a lot of delay, right? So I'm delaying hiring, I'm delaying moving forward on particular things. I'm not focusing on the core product, which seems like it would also bring in some core business. Is that accurate?
Yes, and I have a puppy to also to
And also a puppy,
entertain.
right?
That is a good excuse why I can't make it all in a day. But no, I'm joking. But yeah, yeah, you summarize it well. I don't like hearing it, obviously, when you say like, okay, there's a lot of delay, but yeah, let's move forward with this.
That's okay. Yes, I got it. So I mean, I acknowledge you for diving into it because I know it's not the funnest of things in the world. So when you are delaying and avoiding, what are the thoughts that are going through your head?
Um, Mostly, does this like is this responsible enough that I'm now getting out and working on the core project and am not focusing on the money making things, the general cash flow, you know, because it can have massive consequences. Also, it can have massive consequences. Hiring the wrong account and things like this can have like massive consequences. hiring the wrong team member, trusting the wrong partners. And I'm a very trustful person, so I'm just like, basically you don't have to earn my trust. I trust new team members, but there was a lot in the past where they actually not behind the business, not doing the work, so there was money lost, which was okay when there was just a focus on the PR agency work with a very good cash flow. Now it's more crucial to be on point.
Got it. So is it accurate to say then that you don't, like, you say you easily trust people, but there's also, it seems like there's a hesitation now that like you don't actually trust yourself to make a decision that you think is going to be the right decision?
That's correct, because in the past I also made like wrong decisions with people in hiring. Yeah. Yes. So,
Okay.
because I'm not just an entrepreneur since yesterday, there were bad hires or bad partnerships. Yes. So from experience, I don't fully trust myself to just lead the boat into the success direction.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not just in the hiring because of the past experience, it's also lead the whole boat towards success. Like I don't trust myself to go to the next level with this business as well.
Yes, I do trust myself, but yeah, no. I'm very good in bringing businesses to success, like a certain success, right? Like I'm not like a unicorn founder, but like that I and people can live from that, and that but I need to stay very focused. I need to work hard. And it's a luxury basically to start new businesses at one point. Yeah, I don't want to demotivate other entrepreneurs, but it's sort of a luxury. So
Yeah. Got it. Okay. So there's some circumstantial things in the past that lead to basically this doubt and lack of self-trust, mainly in the bad hires and the bad partnerships. Now, if you look at those situations, because you said, okay, so I lost money on those, people didn't take ownership of what they did, they didn't like do what they said they were going to do, etc. Um, in those instances, were there times where you saw red flags, but then didn't really say something about them, or like didn't want to get into confrontations? Like, is there something like that that came up for you in the past?
yeah, like I'm aware, like those were the ones where I wasn't really super surprised. But recently I was shocked of someone dropping the ball on the project. So I'm not fully trusting myself with the people skills anymore, because I'm just so trusting, right? So also in the past, in hiring of accountants that didn't do their job, so this can be fatal, right? So yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, we'll go ahead.
So I saw with some, I saw not red flags, but I was aware, like, okay, but a recent one completely surprised me. So
Okay, got it. So basically, there's some lack of confidence in that area, which is also why I can understand you would delay things. If I don't know that it's right, and if I can't trust myself in it, then obviously I'm going to delay it until I have to make the decision, right? And it seems like all of these delays are causing a lot of ripple effects with regards to like lost opportunities or things not moving as quickly as possible. Is that accurate?
yeah, that was so fascinating when I did your test, so that it actually told me like, oh, this is what keeps you back, because I feel a bit stagnant. I know it's not being stagnant, but a bit. And this was like a really good observation, because I wasn't fully aware. But yeah, wait, I sit it out because I don't fully trust myself to make the right decision with people. And and there are times when I'm more in a comfortable place where it's okay when there's a bad hire, But I would say this year, focusing on a startup where the money is tight, the budgets are tight, it can be fatal. So yeah, I like to delay it.
Got it. Okay. And do you think that's making the problem better or worse?
Yeah, from your test, I think I now know it's making it worse,
Well, I mean,
which
okay,
I
not
wasn't
just from
aware
like
of before.
my assessments, but even like for you personally, like, do you think that's making the problem better or worse?
Hmm. So in the past, when I set up things not in a good way, and then I had to correct it like 1 or 2 years ago later, it costs money, right? But it also costs nerves. Yeah, I think the perfectionism now comes into play because I think like, oh, I should know how to do it, you know, um, after all these years. So, but yeah, I'm not fully sure how to overcome it, but it was a great observation, like that this is actually a problem.
Got it. Okay. Well, I'm glad that's landing for you. Yeah, because it can create problems that you're not really realizing are problems. Because it's an indirect thing. So like, I'm glad to hear that that's actually landing for you. So even if we just rewind back a little bit and look at the perfectionism, so for you internally, like if you aren't perfect, then fill in the blank.
It has consequences for other people,
Mhm.
letting people down. It can be fatal, like for my own self-worth, because I'm completely defining myself like through entrepreneurship and through this goal. Like, but mostly it's irresponsible, like, uh, because there are people involved, that expect that I do my best job. Like not perfect, but my best job, the best that I can do.
So there's a part of you that like when you talk about perfect or like really good or like exceptionally good, I'm assuming those are interchangeable for you. Is that accurate?
So when we talk about perfectionism, I'm actually not that hard on myself, but I just want to know that I gave my best, that I can sleep well and say like, okay, I did my best.
Mm-hmm.
There, even if it was not at the level of perfectionism, but that was the best that I could do, that I could have done. And if I didn't do that, then I'm not feeling good.
Right. Because, and this, I'm just going to reflect back, your answers to this question is like, if I'm not perfect, then I let other people down. Like, if I'm not perfect, there's almost the part of me that believes that I'm not good enough. Like, I'm not worthwhile at that point. If I'm not perfect, then I'm irresponsible. Right. If I don't do my very best, then I haven't shown up the best for people. So,
You're just describing capitalism. Yeah.
well,
It's
describing
the world we
capitalism, or is
live
it
in.
describing things you've taken from that system and embody them in yourself?
Yeah, I think like I see the world as like the business world as a very harsh place. So I'm very hard there by myself, with myself, because I see it as a very hard, harsh place. Yeah.
Right. So, do you think with these, like when you hear those statements, right? It's like, if I'm not perfect, I let other people down. If I'm not perfect, then I'm irresponsible, right? This is how basically you just fill in the blank of like, if I'm not perfect, then. So I'm irresponsible, I let other people down. Do you see how much pressure there is towards you being like as absolutely best as you could possibly be at all time? Otherwise, you're completely going to like destroy and let other people down.
Yes. Thank you for acknowledging it. Like there's a lot of pressure I put on myself, or I feel like the business world is putting on entrepreneurs. So I don't know exactly how others feel about it, but yeah.
Right.
So I feel
So even if those
pressure.
pressures exist everywhere else, are they pressures that you have to accept for yourself?
That's a really, really good question. Like, I will keep asking this, like, I will continue to ask this myself. Because I don't like, it's the first time I think about this really now, that I
Okay, so
might, you know,
think
put
about it
too
right
much
now.
pressure on myself.
Right. So when you say I put too much pressure on myself, how does that feel for you internally?
Good, because this could be like a way to get out of the pressure by acknowledging it, by realizing it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, when the pressure is a lot, to just realize it. Also, what I'm already aware of is that I am always under a lot of pressure, but I try not to put it on other people, like let's say team members, right? Because I know like that's me, always like nervous, stressed, and under pressure. I try not to give this to other people.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it would be good to remind myself that I put maybe too much pressure on myself.
Right. So the people who I pay and are around to actually help me relieve pressure and give me support, I don't want to actually give them anything that would relieve my pressure because it's like my baggage, I have to carry it. And I don't want to impose on anybody else, even though I'm paying them to actually relieve some of this pressure. Yeah. So okay, I see you laughing. What's landing for you there?
It's definitely landing. It doesn't sound like proper leadership, but there's some like different belief systems within me, right? Like I want to have like a really good culture with people. I wanted to them to grow. I don't want my personal pressure or my pressure that is within me to put on them, because I know like when they're relaxed, like they can work better. You have to motivate people all the time. Like it's a bit like training a puppy, like how much, you know, like you better motivate than to punish. So
Right.
it's
So you carrying more pressure on yourself instead of releasing that out to the people that are there to actually support you, i.e., if I ask for help, that'll actually be demotivating to people. It'll actually be a punishment, right?
yeah, not asking for help. Obviously delegating is really important, but I just say like I wouldn't put anyone under pressure. Like if it has to be done, okay, you know, comes something obvious when I will say it out loud. If something has to be done really fast, I will do it myself, right? Like even in accounting, like even in coding, I will figure out how to do it. I will do it myself. I will not put the pressure, the time pressure of some to someone else.
Yeah. So the reason why I'm asking you
Sorry.
all of these questions, right? This perfectionism, this pressure, this avoidance, like how much stress is this really causing in your life?
Um, my stress is I want to be at a different level in entrepreneurship, right? Like much more successful than I am right now. So the stress for me is like, okay, you've already been doing this for since you dropped out of school. So why are you not there? Like what's to figure out to get like to the level where you want to be? So this is mostly stressing me. Although I enjoy the journey, I just want to make sure like I'm on the right track, because I don't want to be like a small scale entrepreneur till retirement. Like that would not fulfill me at all. That would be deeply depressing to me. Like, because my goal is to really make something bigger. Like, yeah.
Yeah, got it. And
That's actually stressing me a lot because that's my personal goal.
right. And is that actually helping you go forward or is it just stressing you out?
Um, I don't know, like probably now that you say it, maybe it's just stressing me out.
Right. And that's kind of where I was getting at with all these questions, is to see, okay, to which degree is this helping you? All of this pressure, all this perfectionism, all of this constant worrying about how things are perceived, all of this doubt, right? Because it seems like it's actually working against you. It doesn't seem like it's actually helping you. Yet there's like a part of you that's attached to it. It's like, no, but I must do this. Like I can't let people down. I can't put pressure on them. I have to like harbor it, even if it means doing accounting, even if it means taking on more things, right? It seems like a lot. Like it's just like I'm constantly putting stuff, like I'm constantly putting weight in this backpack that I continue to carry. And I'm hoping that if I put on more weight, it'll be a faster and easier ride to the top of the mountain. Right. Like that's
Ah, that's a great analogy. Yeah.
yeah. So that heaviness, that cycle, right? What I call the overwhelmed hamster wheel. It's like there's a part of you that believes it's gonna, like, if I just judge and punish myself more, I'll go faster, but it's like you're just making it heavier to go up the same mountain. So if that lands for you, how do you actually want to be in business?
Uh, that's I love that analogy because I love hiking, and then like with the heavier backpack, it doesn't make any sense. So yeah, ideally, so I'm actually like at my happiest when I can do go exercising because I just love sports when I can do sports, and when the team works well and things are just flowing. Yeah, basically when I have the time to do what I love, which is just sports, and then I'm already happy, you know.
Yeah. And see, that's the
Yeah.
contrast, right? When you talk about your business, is this big, heavy backpack to climb up the mountain of success so I could be okay, versus when I actually allow myself some leeway to like do the things that I like, even your voice got easier. There's more flow. I actually have fun, i.e., I'm fulfilled in some sort of way, right? And that's the real gap that I would invite for you to see. It's like, yeah, all of the tactical things need to be in place. You need to prioritize. You need to get clarity on what you want. You need to ensure you hire the right people. You need to question whether the processes are okay. Like all of those things are relevant. And your journey and how fast you go is going to be dependent on how much of the baggage you can let go of, which means you carry less stress with you so that you can basically bring more of that flow, enthusiasm, fulfillment, and fun into your journey, which right away is going to make everything better.
It's a
So
paradox, isn't it?
it sure is, yes.
So I already realized it from your questionnaire and test. I was like, oh my God, it's so paradoxically because instead of putting in all the hard work and overworking maybe or this pressure, what you think like you should do to bring it forward, actually it would flow better if you would be able to release it. It's really, really hard for me
Yeah.
because I also like the stress, and I like the stress and pressure, right? It's like a bad habit that you cling on to,
Yeah.
if that
So
makes
it makes
sense.
sense. And with my clients, yeah, it's like you're addicted to the work. Like you're addicted to,
I'm
I need to
definitely
be in a
addicted
problem
to
to
the
solve.
work.
Yeah.
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 But that's one thing, to be addicted to work, but the pressure is I should release the pressure that I have to do
Well,
it.
that's what feeds. It's the equivalent of like nobody's really addicted to sugar unless they have the urge to like eat the sugar. You know what I mean? Like without the urge, that there's no addiction. So it's a very similar system internally,
Mhm.
but it's just instead of sugar, you choose work, right? And it comes with all the baggage that you're talking about. So anyway, I know we don't have time to like dive in and solve this, in this episode, but it's definitely a solvable thing. But I just want to know, as far as like mapping this out, like does this feel complete for you? Is there still something left outstanding?
Um, yes, so I think I'm happy that we don't talk about control mechanisms, right? Like, because you could have also said like, okay, you wanting to do these things is like controlling, but I don't think I'm controlling. So I like that this was not, mentioned. And yeah, so I do realize now like the difference between me even working like on the boat trip that I had last week where I was invited. I took every Wi-Fi opportunity at the ports to work. That's just me loving my work. But it's a different thing when I work under the pressure of thinking like, okay, I have to deliver because I have all these responsibilities. So there's two ways to get the work done, right?
Correct. It's not about not working. It's about how are you feeling while you are working, and is the way that you're working actually helping you get where you want to go faster in a more enjoyable way. That's really what
Mm-hmm.
it comes down to, right? Like it's like are you moving in frenzy and overwhelm, or are you working and moving in some sort of peace, fulfillment, and enthusiasm? That's the difference. So
So you would say like the core to move forward is me bringing me into a state of like peace with my work.
if the way for you to get there is like I just like meditate and do breath work, in my experience, what I've found is that that is just relief. Like you just feel better, but then you kind of go back to the same patterns. It doesn't address what the root issue is, which is there's a reason why you feel that you have to be perfect or you're going to disappoint people. Okay. That usually comes from some sort of wounding internally, right? Some sort of limiting belief, some sort of emotional block, right? There's a reason why you get significance out of being a hard worker. Okay. There's a reason why I tend to avoid in order to stay safe subconsciously. Okay. When you can delete those subconscious beliefs and delete the emotions that power those actions, your natural state becomes more enthusiastic and peaceful because you just approach
Mhm.
it from like who you are at the core, not what you learned over time in order to like be safe and be okay and think you're good enough in some way. So does that make sense?
Yeah, so I live in Greece now. I'm in Athens right now, but we gotta acknowledge that I'm German, and in Germany, it's like the whole social system, the whole social construct is about your value as a person is how much you bring to the table all the time, right? Like, so it sounds like I have years now ahead of me for psychotherapy to solve this. It's just ingrained in my culture, the
So yes,
Germanness
being in a German culture is going
is
to have
hard.
an effect for sure. Do you need years of psychotherapy? Yeah, absolutely not. That's one of the big things I always work on with my clients is this stuff can be gone within hours. It doesn't have to take years of psychotherapy. Which long story short, like, yeah, if you or anybody else wants to shorten the time to like make all of this happen, this is what the Uplevel Mind program is all about. But the path towards it is what I told you about before. A lot of therapy, and I've been to therapy as well, many of my clients have, it's about awareness around the past, awareness around your patterns, awareness around the problem. It's about a lot of coping, like how do I cope with the stress? In my experience and in a lot of my clients' experience, it does a very poor job of getting to the root of the issue and then deleting it at the core, either deleting the belief that drive it or deleting the emotions that drive the habit. And they don't really help you embody, okay, who am I as the leader who is self-assured, confident, and can make quick decisions? Knowing more about why you are the way you are doesn't really help you do that. But if you delete the beliefs that cause you to doubt yourself, then you just show up as who you are. And with certain practices, you can embody, like, okay, this is how I show up and I make quick decisions and I'm okay with that. So does that make sense?
Yes, so you mentioned like exactly you summarized as leader exactly where I want to be at, but where I don't see the ways on how to get there, right? Like a self-assured, quick decision maker. Like, okay, I'm far away from this. Like decisions take, I don't know even when this happened, but they take much longer now to, yeah, for me to, it takes much longer now for me to make decisions.
Sure.
So,
Well, because the stakes are a
and
lot higher. So I understand why they would be, and makes sense for where you are in your business. So I know like you have more questions, and I'm happy to like handle them offline, but just like I do have to get to another call. So we're gonna have to like end this in this way. So I apologize for that. But
mm,
as far as just like mapping this out, like does it at least like feel complete for you to like at least like I have more awareness around what's kind of going on, and what's at play here for you?
yes, it's super inspiring and very insightful because I also like do absolutely believe if you have like if you're aware, you can start working on it, you know, like if you're not aware, that's a problem. But what I just quickly want to know before you have to leave, uh, other entrepreneurs are facing the same issues, other issues. Just tell me that I'm not alone out
I
there.
mean, there's a reason why I have over 200 episodes of doing this exact same thing. So yes,
Okay.
110%. This is not just unique to you. It's unique how it manifests for you personally in your life. But the general issue of perfectionism, not good enough, too much overwork, overwhelm, that's literally what I talk about every single day. So yeah, in that way, you're definitely not alone.
You're doing a great job.
Well, thank you. So I acknowledge you for allowing yourself to be witnessed in this way. So if you want to just close us off and let everybody know where to find you and who's the best person to find you, floor is yours for that.
Ah, thank you. So under the Coup, you find me thecoup.de or pronthego.com. And the Athletic Coup is the film festival, which is coupfilmfest.com. But yeah, I think it would be great to check out pronthego.com because this is like the startup baby right now, where all the focus is on. And yeah, where we're doing a lot behind the scenes work, which will hopefully be out there soon.
Beautiful. Well, listen, we'll include all of that in the show notes. Melanie, thank you very much for coming on. And for everybody else listening, we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you so much. Have a great rest of the day.
You too. Bye.